One of the other problems that we are asked to resolve is dealing with sound isolation and or noise getting into places that you don't want it. And oftentimes home theaters are built in basements, and builders say, oh, we can take care of that. And they haul off and sell you 7,000 yards of 16-inch Pink Panther fiberglass. And let me tell you right now, that is an enormous waste of money because fiberglass bats are very thin, or they can be thick, but they're not dense at all. So they do absolutely nothing against low frequency. They may help a little bit with the highs, but they don't work. If you're going to build isolation, there's a number of things you have to look out for. And as a footnote to that, one of the most common complaints I hear is that my kids on the second floor of the house can hear the home theater in the basement. So let's look at both of those approaches. Number one is the only way you can properly isolate a room from another room is definitely not to attach the ceiling directly to the floor joists, because now you have a direct transmission between the ceiling material, floor joists, and the floor above. You actually have to build a room within a room if you're really going to do it. So here at Audible Elegance, I can have a high-end room running at full volume or full power. I can have a home theater room running at the same level. We can't hear each other. Part of it is the ceiling. The other part is the wall, because the walls themselves are essentially, we have two walls not touching one another. That's the beginning of trying to get isolation. So if you're building a theater in the basement and you don't want that sound transmitted to the next floor up, you actually have to use some sort of standoff system. It can be wood. There are systems that actually use metal, kind of almost not quite a spring, but it suspends the ceiling floor joist from the floor above. That's part one. The other part, and we're talking about transmission of sound to another floor, particularly the second level. The next biggest mistake that people make is that their return air system as well as their heating system use metal ductwork that go back to a common source, which is the heater or the furnace. What this allows is once the sound goes binging into one of these ductworks, if it's metal, it goes bouncing around, goes into the furnace, it gets blown to another floor, essentially. And the shorter the connection between the theater room and upstairs in terms of distance of the pipework, the more egregious this becomes. One of the tricks we tell people to do, if they think this is the problem, is simply put a boom box in that room and turn it on and go upstairs. And if they can hear the boom box on the second floor, well, that's because it's coming through the metal ductwork. In construction, you have, as we've done here, one of the things you can use is use something known as flex duct, so that it's plastic lined on both sides, it's fiberglass filled, but the sound doesn't get as easily transmitted through the ductwork to another floor as it would if it had metal ductwork. And these are all very simple to do. When you're building a home, it's quite you can't do anything about the ductwork after it's built. But these are kind of the early problems that you can solve in trying to isolate your room. So if you want the kids to stay asleep at night while you're watching a movie, well, these are some of the tips you can use to make life a lot easier and a lot happier.